to one of our other interviews. As you can see, today we're doing it via Zoom. Welcome to the joys of lockdown and Tier 3 restrictions. I'm joined today by the wonderful Angie Dennison, who's part of our church here. Angie, how are you doing? How has the last 6 months been for you? I suppose with coronavirus, much like everybody else, ups and downs, everything in between.
Yep, yeah, definitely so. Lockdown was obviously a shock to everybody, the way it happened so quickly. Like the virus took over so quickly. One day we were in school, next day the school was all locked down, which of course is a unique situation, never known it before. And then all the problems that lockdown brought with the shopping. And my mum's 87 and disabled, so working out the practicalities of getting her shopping. But there's good things, I think, really good things came out of COVID as well. I mean, just going into Garstang itself, and I think it's a privilege to live in Garstang personally, the kindness that I witnessed from people. I guess they must have thought in a queue waiting to go in Aldi or Sainsbury's or Booths, where else have I got to be? What else can I do? Actually, nothing. So I think everybody learned an amount of patience much more than they had previously, and allowing people in front of them that may be slightly older, less able to stand, that kind of thing. And even the people in the shops, I spoke to the managers on a couple of times because I thought I can't just let this opportunity go by to say thank you. Thank you for your kindness and your patience. Thank you for cleaning my trolley for me. Just these little things that made life that little bit more bearable when we were all in chaos, really, because we'd never known this before. And one big plus for me was that I haven't had Hannah home for 14 weeks for about 4 years now, since she's been away at uni in London. So that just made my days, being able to share with her, and also not reconnecting so much with family, but making a stronger connection. So you've probably all done them, Zoom quizzes, quizzing twice a week with family, whereas before they'd all be too busy working or at college or whatever they were doing with their busy lives, because we all do lead busy lives. And I think what COVID did was to say, actually, stop, take stock of what is important in the restrictions that you have now. What are the important things in your life? And I think we've all struggled with lots of different things in that thing. Health, for example, there's a lot of instances just within my family of diagnoses of different illnesses. And in lockdown, that's made that very difficult to bear. For my main reason is because you can't actually go, we couldn't at the time go and, well, still can't now, visit people any longer. And that does take a toll on your mental health. And I think barring nobody, we'll have all been affected by that in some way, in a greater or lesser.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Angie, you work at our local high school, Garstang Academy, and just tell us what it's like being a teacher during lockdown, what your role at the school and how it's impacted your role and what you do.
Yay, 6 months off, hurrah! Well, it was very swift at first, closing from staff going off because they had a medical illness that could have been affected in March time, when we really weren't sure how serious and how quickly it could take lives. And as that happened, one day we were all in school, the next day, right, it's only 2 year groups were in. Everybody else was sent home. So you went in on the Monday, right, don't come in tomorrow until we tell you, which, it sends everybody spiraling into chaos, really, the children, the staff, the parents, the families, because, childcare, etc. And when things started to settle down, I think the school did an absolutely amazing job. I mean, whoever, and it was you know, it was a group thing. Everybody got on board because, you know, when you're teaching, you want the best for the children. So we wanted that to continue, and we didn't know how long it was going to be. So everything was set, all the work was set for the kids. We could check every day whether they bothered to look, whether they tried to do it or whether they'd not tried to do it, have they struggled. We were in constant email or even phone contact. I had a number of students I contacted every week, possibly twice a week, depending on if they were having difficulty with certain lessons, certain work, because we were allowed to help them. Always had to speak to the parent first, but then we were allowed to help them. And anybody who had problems with technical issues, some people didn't have computers, laptops, etc. So whatever the school owned, we sent out to the students who didn't have any. And those who, even though we gave them the technology, still struggled with technology because they hadn't used it, couldn't use it very well. We then organised to get them books so that they could actually use a pen and pencil and write the work down, and then we could talk to them about that. So I think really the care that Garstang Community Academy have for their students, I've worked there for so long because of the care that they have for the individual students and the members of staff. And now when we went back to school in September, whoever it was, I'm not actually sure, again, it will be obviously a group of people who put the timetable together with all the bubbling that has to be done to ensure that 100% is safe, deserves a medal, because it runs so well, so smoothly. And when the kids came back, I suppose they'd learned in lockdown at home to do all the things that they had to do, like washing their hands, sanitizing, keep the distance. And of course, when they came back to school, they all had to wear masks. Well, you know, the age group that we've got, you can't just tell them what to do because they're not babies. They need to know why. And of course, they had that basis. And when they came back, they did as they were asked. And it was just amazing, the atmosphere when everybody came back. The New Year Sevens were awesome, an absolutely awesome age group. And the bubbling is working really well. Splitting of the lunches and everything is working really well. There's always issues, as there are in any school in the world,
of course. And
there always will be, with or without COVID. And we will get on top of those one at a time, like eating an elephant. How do you do that? One bite at a time.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, thank you so much, Angie, for taking the time to be with us today. I guess in closing, I guess the final question I have for you is, you know, in the midst of all of this going on with all the changes, you know, has there been something that has kind of really stood out to you that you've kind of really held on to, that is kind of on those more difficult days, on those days when it's a bit harder to teach within bubbles and being limited? Is there something that you've kind of held on to that's kind of got you through that?
Well, I think the strength and the power that has got me through is the life group Zoom every week. I'm part of a life group that Zoomed every week, and it's just gives me strength and it gives me the power. And you can hear about the problems that other people have, and we pray so fervently for these people and you know that you can bring anything to them, the trust and their faithfulness to God is just, it's almost tangible. You can almost feel it, that God's within that meeting with us. And although obviously it does come from God, it's that group of people that have given me that strength when I've had really bad days to keep going. And they prayed for me when I felt that I haven't wanted to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, folks, big thank you to Angie for joining us today. Keep watching our interviews. And as Angie said, if you're not in a life group, join one, because it may just be the thing you need to get through these difficult times. If you need help getting into a life group, get in touch with us at the church. We'd love to point you in the right direction. But for now, thank you, Angie. See you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.